Hey, it's Candy. Did you know that I have a quiz to help coaches choose their niche? Yeah, I do. It's super popular and it has been taken more than 20,000 times. This is a fun quiz that takes you about 2 minutes to do, and it will probably give you way more clarity on choosing your best coaching niche. So now, whether you say niche or niche, it's going to work for you. And if you're a coach and you have been stuck in niche indecision, wondering what to do, then you should take my quiz and find out what you learn. You can take the quiz today at coachnichequiz.com. That's coachnichequiz.com. Okay, let's dive into this week's episode. Welcome to She Coaches Coaches. I'm your host, Candy Motzek, and I'm going to help you find the clarity, confidence, and courage to become the coach that you are meant to be. If you're a new coach, or if you've always wanted to be a life coach, then this is the place for you. We're going to talk all about mindset and strategies and how to, because step by step only works when you have the clarity, courage, and confidence to take action. Let's get started. Welcome to the show. Listen, as I get ready to record this episode, I am also packing to go away for a long weekend. It's late May, and my husband and I are getting ready to celebrate a big wedding anniversary. So we're off for 4 days away. We're going to be staying at a beautiful hotel and ready to sightsee and relax and have great meals and enjoy the long weekend away. Now, before we dive into the episode, I know many of you listen to me every week, and some of you have been with me since the beginning, and I appreciate you. Thank you. I really appreciate the time you spend with me. I want to ask you for a favor. Could you leave me a 5-star review and a rating? Podcasts are a funny thing, you know. No one quite knows how the podcast players like Apple Podcasts rank everything, or even how they decide how to recommend what shows to who. But the one thing that I do know is that ratings and reviews help. I know you've probably meant to do it and then you got busy, or you meant to do it and you just thought that it was a little bit more of a bug than you had anticipated. But listen, I would so appreciate the favor. If you would take a minute right now and leave me a rating and a review, it's really the only way that I know that they will show this podcast to more coaches, to people who can benefit from getting this message. So thank you. So now let's dive in. Every morning, I journal. I journal in my moleskin notebook. I've got a special pen that I do it with. And the journaling that I do is a combination of thought downloads to clean out my brain. I also journal about the goals that I'm going for and finding the evidence that they're coming true. I find places for inspiration. I find ideas that I want to share with you on the podcast. And I spend about half an hour with paper and pen. Now, my brain is just like your brain, and it loves to tell me all the negative stuff. And the thought downloads that I do, those are the things that really help me to see what's going on. See the things that are holding me back. Like, what are those thoughts, the self-doubt pieces that are sitting in the back of my head? What is under the surface that is showing me my resistance? So if you want to know how to do a thought download, I share this with all of my clients. But for you, the podcast listener, you guys can go back and listen to one of the very first episodes, episode number 2. I'll put the link in the episode notes, and then you'll know exactly how to do a thought download and why it works. So anyway, this is what I've noticed, both for my thought downloads and for my clients. This one phrase, it just keeps showing up over and over and over again. And it's this: I don't know. It's like, I don't know. I don't know how. I don't know what. I don't know who. I don't know the perfect path. And you know, this I don't know phrase, it is so not helpful. My brain automatically serves me this thought whenever I want to go for a goal or whenever I'm trying a new project. The most recent example, I've just released a new private podcast. It's pretty cool, and it's called Unlock Coaching Success. There are 7 episodes, they're 10 minutes and under, and it is a great free resource that I have created for you. I created it for coaches to understand the exact 4 pillars that every successful coach needs for a thriving business. You know, I have found that there is so much confusion, so much chatter and complexity being thrown around these days. So I wanted to create this common sense resource, something that's just going to cut through the confusion so you can have clarity, and then you're going to know what to do, how to approach this. All this clarity leads to confidence, and it's going to help you sign clients too. I'll put the link for this private podcast, Unlock Coaching Success. I'll put it in the episode notes so you can sign up and have a listen too. So I wanted to create this private podcast, and it's on a different platform. And this platform's got some really cool features, but it's a new platform for me. So here's what my morning journaling sounded like. This is me having a conversation with my brain. I want to create this cool new thing. Then my brain says, but I don't know how. Well, guess what? This went around and around and around until finally I stopped myself. I wanted to do this thing, and my brain said, oh, I don't know. So it was like an I don't know spin. So guess what? I realized, and this is part of my journaling. I said, well, of course you don't know how. You've never done this before, but I know that I can figure it out. And just in that couple of sentences, of course I don't know exactly how, but I know I can figure it out. That stopped that I don't know spin in its tracks. Because when I think I don't know, I assume I just don't know, and that's like the end of it. My brain doesn't go into action. My brain doesn't get creative. It's kind of like a dead end. My brain serves up, I don't know, with a shrug, and that's the end of it. So I don't come up with new ideas. I don't ask for help. I don't try new things. I don't try and figure it out. And I sure as heck don't try and look at past situations, similar situations, or maybe I've got some transferable skills. As soon as I say, I don't know, I don't do any of that, right? My brain says, I don't know. And then I shrug. I feel kind of lost, confused, and even a bit hopeless. So if this sounds like you, welcome to the club. Our brains want to keep us the same. It takes energy to try these new things, to figure things out. And sometimes our brain might think that it's a little bit risky. Maybe we risk making a mistake or failing the first time. Maybe we risk looking silly in front of other people. Who knows? But our brain loves to keep us the same, even though we know we want to take that next step. So maybe your example might be, well, how do I find clients? And your brain says, well, I don't know. Or maybe you're thinking, I really want to be a coach, but your brain says, but I don't know how. Or maybe you're thinking about filling your coaching practice, and your brain says, well, I don't know. All those things that your brain says, I don't know to. So if this sounds like you, I've got a challenge for you, a proposal. Here's what I suggest. You do an experiment. You take that phrase right off the table. You remove that phrase from your vocabulary. It is no longer allowed. So every time your inner voice says, I don't know, you don't take that for an answer. You say, oh, well, that's not very helpful. I don't know is no longer a possibility here. Or you can say, well, of course you don't know quite yet, but I know I can figure it out. I like the metaphor that I've been hearing, and it says that my brain is like a search engine. My brain is kind of like Google. If I ask it a question, it must try to find the answer. But when I say I don't know, there is no question to answer. It's a dead end. It doesn't lead to growth. It doesn't lead to learning or discovery or experimentation. And it sure as heck doesn't lead me to figuring it out. So instead of settling for I don't know, you could ask yourself, what do I know about this? Or, well, if I did know, where might I begin? Or, I know that could give me some good input. Or, how could I figure this out? Or, what's the first steps that I could take? So, this is the way for you to become so much more resourceful. So, instead of I don't know, I just read off 5 or 6 questions that you could ask yourself instead of I don't know. What do I know? Who might be able to help me? Where might I just start? You don't need to know everything. You just need to know where to start. I want you to remember, you are far more powerful than you know. So while it is true that you might know exactly the way to start, you might not know everything. You might not know everything that's going to take you from A to Z with no mistakes, but you can find the first couple of steps. You may not be able to go from A to Z, but I bet you can go from A to C. And then once you're at C, I bet you're going to be able to find the next couple of steps too, and the next, and the next. So, are you willing to do this experiment with me? To take on this challenge? To no longer allow yourself to say, I don't know? I sure hope so. Because when you do, when you start doing this, you're going to discover how resourceful you really are, how smart you are, how capable you are. Plus, you're going to find that you have far more possibilities for support than you had remembered at first. It's a super fun experiment. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. So that's it for this week. And thank you again for joining me. Again, it would mean the world to me if you shared this episode with your friends and fellow coaches, and take a minute to leave me a 5-star rating and review.
Thanks again for listening today. Please hop on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a review. Also, I would love to hear from you. Did something that I say resonate? What else would you like to learn about? Click the link in the player and leave a comment on the post. This is going to give me great ideas for future episodes so I can help you best. Join me again next week for more coaching, support, and teaching to help you become the confident coach you are meant to be.